Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in Junior English, and we turn now in your hymnals to 1186, 1187, and the Crucible, Arthur Miller's classic, Act 3. Before we get into Act 3, let's work a little bit in our annotative work at level 2B, and we want to write down under literary analysis this information about characterization. Make sure it's in your notes, anything that's in bold, because it will end up on the exam. And let's go ahead and read a little bit here. Characterization. The art of revealing characters' personalities. Now, obviously, we've talked about this already in other places, but let's study it again. Indirect characterization. Make sure you have that written down at 2B. The author simply tells the reader what a character is like. A playwright may use direct characterization in stage directions. We've seen this several times in this play already. But most dramatic literature requires indirect characterization. Let's write that one down. In which characters' traits are revealed through a number of things. Let's list 3. The character's words, actions, appearance, other characters' comments, other characters' reactions. Like people in real life, characters in plays are not always what they seem. Fear, greed, guilt, love, loyalty, pride, and revenge are some of the forces that drive human behavior, but they may be masked or hidden. Characters' motives, the reasons for their behavior, may be stated directly or suggested through indirect characterization. Like characters, situations are also not always what they seem. When there is a contrast between expectation and reality, irony is at work. So I would write that down. Irony, the contrast between expectation and reality. With dramatic irony, make sure we get this one in our notes at 2B. There is a contradiction between what a character thinks and what the audience knows. That's dramatic irony. Okay? With verbal irony, make sure you get this one in your notes. There is a contrast between what a character says and what is really meant. As you read, notice how you learn about characters, assess their motivations, identify the many ironies that swirl around them as dangers and sail them out. We're going to see one of the chief ironic moments in all of drama here in the third act, okay, as we get into this thing, because we know what's about to happen. John Proctor is going to come in front of the entire court. We could argue in front of the whole town of Salem, and he's going to stand up in front of all of them and say, all of this has happened not because of witchcraft, but because I slept with the young girl Abigail Williams. That's what's going on here. Whoa. In that moment, of course, you can imagine some fireworks are going to fly, as you can probably predict, right? The reading strategy, read it with me. In this act, the court proceedings become the focus of attention. And let's write that down at level 1 right now. In the second act, everything was taking place in the Proctor home. In the third act, we're back to Salem, only now we are actually in the courtroom itself. Usually just the place where the church is itself, all right? As these court proceedings become the focus of action, the faulty logic supporting accusations of witchcraft become more formalized. The justifications accusers use are examples of logical fallacy, arguments that may seem reasonable but are founded on a wrong premise. As you read, evaluate arguments. You want to write this down at level 2B. Evaluate arguments used to bring accusations and condemn the innocent. Determine the premise that underlies the accusations and trace the logic that supports the argument. As you read, you can use the chart like the one to the right. Obviously, this is going to be another way for us to read I told you we read this play at 3 levels. We can look at it at the psychological, at the sociological, and at the historical. This, of course, has a lot to do with how we read this play at the historical level, because this is a play that was written during the 1950s, and Miller himself had been brought in front of the Senate McCarthy hearings and was in fact himself threatened because he refused to name other people. In other words, he basically lived through the same insanity. Notice the vocabulary words at the bottom of 1186. We know that they will be on the examination, so make sure you review those. Let's start at 1187 at the top, review and anticipate. Act 2 ends as Elizabeth Proctor is accused of witchcraft and carted off to jail as a result of the connivance of Abigail Williams. John Proctor demands that Mary Warren tell the court the truth. Mary, though aware of Abigail's ploys, is terrified of exposing her. Do you think John will convince Mary to overcome her fears and testify against Abigail? If he does convince her, how will the judges receive Mary Warren's testimony? Of course, Act 3 is going to tell you what happens in the Salem courtroom. Let's go ahead now and just kind of summarize what happens so that you're ready for it. Accompanied by Francis Nurse, Giles Corey interrupts his wife's witchcraft trial to say that evidence has appeared to show the charges are false. Proctor arrives with Mary. She confesses to Judge Hawthorne and to Deputy Governor Danforth that the girls' witchcraft accusations are not true. So let's go ahead and write this down. The two people who are most influential in the court, Deputy Governor Danforth and Judge Hawthorne. The officials and Paris are shocked when Proctor shows up, and they hesitate to believe Mary Warren. Danforth brings in the girls, confronts them with Mary's testimony. Abigail says firmly that Mary is lying. You can pretty much predict that's what's going to happen. Proctor then will confess his affair, explaining that jealousy of Elizabeth motivates all Abigail's lies and accusations. Of course, Abigail denies the affair. Elizabeth is brought in and asked about the affair. This is going to be the fascinating moment of the third act, and many say of the entire play. To protect John, to protect John Proctor, Elizabeth, his wife, lies, and she will deny that she is aware that John, her husband, and Abigail Williams slept together. Of course, at this moment, the irony will be that she is contradicting the sworn testimony of her husband to protect him. She's doing something to save him, which in the end, of course, condemns him. As Hale and Danforth argue about whom to believe, Abigail cries out that Mary's spirit, disguised as a yellow bird — we'll be back more to this bird theme, write that down at level 2B. We'll have lots of more of this flight theme going on — is up in the rafters threatening her. The other girls follow her lead. Mary breaks down and renounces her confession. Proctor and Corey are arrested, and Hale denounces and quits the court. By the end of the third act, you've got all kinds of mayhem that's happening because everyone has lost control. Proctor will in fact end this act with some very powerful words. All right, we are on 1187. Let's read together. The vestry room of the Salem Meeting House, now serving as the anteroom of the General Court. As the curtain rises, the room is empty, but for sunlight pouring through two high windows in the back wall. The room is solemn, even for Betty. Heavy beams jut out. Boards of random widths make up the walls. At the right are two doors leading into the meeting house proper, where the court is being held. At the left, another door leads outside. There is a plain bench at the left and another at the right. In the center, a rather long meeting table with tools and considerable armchairs snugged up to it. Through the petitioning wall at the right, we hear a prosecutor's voice, Judge Hawthorne, asking a question, then a woman's voice, Martha Corey, replying. So we're just going to watch this thing unfold, maybe make a couple of breaks just to kind of point out a couple of things. But now, the third act, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, let's just say this for your notes at level 1. The third act requires some serious mental assiduity, focus. Because you've got lots and lots of back and forth happening, and if you're not watching it but reading it and listening to it in your mind's eye, then you've got to pay particular attention to who's doing the talking. So let's sit up, let's pay close attention here now and really try and focus. We are in the courtroom now, and of course, let's say it out loud at 3A. There are a lot of famous texts that have to do with courtrooms. This is, of course, one of them. We think, of course, of the famous scene in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. Let's write that one down at 3A as another title where you have some kind of courtroom back and forth. You can yourself, if you want to, write down already what is for you the best movie of all time that shows the courtroom scene. Some people love that Jack Nicholson line, "You can't handle the truth," which happens, of course, in a courtroom with Tom Cruise in that film, right? So here we go. Act 3.
off the land. Move that man. You're hearing lies. Lies. I have evidence for the cause, I tell you.
Top of 1188.
Mr. Hale, they'll be hanging my wife, Martha.
How do you dare come roaring into this court? Are you gone daft?
You're not a Boston judge yet, Arthur. You'll not call me daft.
Show some respect. For
Top of 1189.
Who is this man?
Giles Corey, sir, and a more contentious...
I am asked the question, Mr. Pattison. I am old enough to answer it. My name is Corey, sir. Giles Corey. I have 600 acres and timber. In addition, it is my wife. You be condemned
How do
there
you
now.
imagine to help the cause with such contemptuous riot? I'll be gone.
They be telling lies about my wife,
Take
sir.
it upon yourself to determine what this court shall believe and what it shall set aside.
No, you don't know, Your Excellency. We mean no disrespect.
Indeed, it is disruption, mister. This is the highest court of the supreme government of this province. Do you know it?
Your Excellency, I only said she were reading books.
Books?
And they come and take her out of my house. It is my third wife, sir. I never had no wife that be so taken with books, and I thought to find the cause of it, do you see? But it were no which I blamed her for. I have broke charity with the woman. I have broke charity with her.
Excellency, he claims hard evidence for his wife's defense. I think in all justice...
Then let him submit his evidence in proper affidavit. You are certainly aware of our procedure here, Mr. Hale. Clear this room.
We are desperate, sir. We come here 3 days now and cannot be heard.
Who is this man?
Francis Nurse, Your Excellency.
His wife came back that were condemned this morning.
I am amazed to
Top
find
of
you
page
in such a
1190.
hole. I have only good report of your character.
I think we must both be arrested in contempt, sir.
Safely and in due time.
Excellency, we have proof for your eyes. God forbid you shut them to it. The girls, sir. The girls are false. We have proof of it, sir. They're all deceiving you. This is contempt, sir.
Please,
Contempt.
Judge Hathorne. Do you know who I am, Mr. Nurse?
I surely do, sir, and I think you must be a wise judge
And
to
do
be
you
what you are.
know that near to 400 are in the jails from Marblehead to Linland upon my signature?
I know
and
that-
72 condemned to hang by that signature.
Excellency, I never thought to say it to such a weighty judge, but you are deceived. Mary Warren, what are you about here? She would speak with the Deputy Governor.
Who is this?
John Proctor, sir. Elizabeth Proctor is my wife.
Beware this man, Your Excellency. This man is mischief.
I think you must hear the girl, sir.
What would you tell us, Mary Warren?
She never saw no spirit, sir.
Never saw no spirits.
She was signed a deposition, sir.
Top of 1191.
Tell me, Mr. Proctor, have you given out this story in the village?
We have not.
We've come to overthrow the court, sir. This man is...
Do you know, Mr. Proctor, that the entire contention of the state in these trials is that the voice of heaven is speaking through the children?
I know that, sir.
And you, Mary Warren? How came you to cry out people for sending their spirits against you?
You were beaten, sir.
I cannot hear you.
It were pretense, you said, sir.
Ah. And the other girls, Susanna Walcott and the others, they are also pretending?
Aye, sir.
Indeed.
Excellency, you surely cannot think to let so vile a lie be spread in
Indeed
court.
not, but it struck hard upon me that she would dare come here with such a tale. Now, Mr. Proctor, before I decide whether I shall hear you or not, it is my duty to tell you this. We burn a hot fire here. It melts down all concealment.
I know that, sir.
Crucible, right?
I understand well a husband's tenderness may drive him to extravagance in defense of a wife. Are you certain in your conscience, mister, that your evidence is the truth?
It is, and you will surely know it.
And you thought to declare this revelation in the open court before the public?
I thought I would, with your permission.
Now, sir, what is your purpose in so doing?
Why, I would free my wife, sir.
There lurks nowhere in your heart, nor hidden in your spirit, any desire to undermine this court.
No, sir.
Your Excellency,
Mr. Cheever,
I think it be my duty, sir. You'll not deny it, John. When we come to take his wife...
Top
he
of
damned the
1192.
court And ripped your warrant.
he did that, Mr. Hale.
Aye, he did.
It were a temper, sir. I knew not what I did.
He plough on Sunday,
Plough on
Sergeant.
Sunday?
I think it be evidence, John. I am an official of the court. I cannot keep...
I have once or twice plowed on Sunday. I have 3 children, sir, and until last year my land gave little.
Your Honor, I cannot think you may judge the man on such
I
evidence.
judge nothing. I tell you straight, mister, I have seen marvels in this court. I have seen people choked before my eyes by spirits. I have seen them stuck by pins and slashed by daggers. I have until this moment not the slightest reason to suspect that the children may be deceiving me. Do you understand my meaning?
Excellency, does it not strike upon you that so many of these women have lived so long with such upright reputation?
Read the gospel, Mr. I read the gospel. I think not. For you should surely know that Cain were an upright man, and yet he did kill
Aye,
him.
God tells us that. But who tells us Rebecca Nurse murdered 7 babies by sending out her spirit on them? It is the children only, and this one, Mary Warren, will swear she lied to us.
Top of 1193.
Mr. Proctor, this morning your wife sent me a claim in which she states that she is pregnant.
Elizabeth.
My wife pregnant?
There'll be no sign of it. We have examined her body.
If she says she's pregnant, then she must be. That woman will never lie, Mr. Danforth.
She will not.
Never, sir, never.
We have thought it too convenient to be credited. However, if I should tell you now that I will let her be kept another month, and if she begin to show her natural signs, you shall have her living yet another year until she is delivered. What say you to that? Come, man. You say your only purpose is to save your wife. Good, then. She is saved at least a year, and a year is long. What say you, sir? It is done now. Will you drop this charge?
I think I cannot.
Then your purpose is somewhat larger.
He's come to overthrow this court, Your Honor.
Giles Corey and Francis Nurse are my friends. Their wives are also accused.
No, sir. I am ready to hear your evidence. Now, what depositions do you have for us, Mr. Proctor? And I beg you be clear, open as the sky, and honest.
Well, I am no lawyer, sir, so I'll...
The pure in heart need no lawyers. Proceed as you will.
Will you read this first, sir? It's a sort of testament. The people signing it declare their good opinion of Rebecca and my wife and Martha Corey. They're all land-holding farmers, members of the church. And if you'll notice, sir, they've known the women many years. And
Top of 1194.
They had dealings with the devil.
How many names are here?
91, Your Excellency.
These people should be summoned. For questions to Danforth, I gave them all my word. No harm would come to them for signing this. This is a clear attack upon the court.
Is every defense an attack upon the court?
All innocent and Christian people are happy for the courts in Salem. These people are gloomy for it. I think you will want to know from each and every one of them what discontents them
It
with
is
you.
not necessarily
These are
an
all
attack, I
covenanted
think.
Christians.
And I am sure, Mr. Nurse, they may have nothing to fear. Mr. Chiba.
Yes.
Have warrants drawn for all these. Arrest for examination. No, old man, you have not hurt these people if they are of good conscience. But you must understand, sir, that a person is either with this court or he must be counted against it. There be no road between. This is a sharp time now, a precise
Huge lines.
time. We live no longer in the dusky afternoon when evil mixed itself with good and befuddled the world. Now, by God's grace, the shining sun is up, and them that fear not light will surely praise it. I hope you will be none of those. Now, Mr. Proctor, what other information do you have for us?
John, my deposition, give him mine.
Aye. This is Mr. Corey's deposition.
Top of 1195.
Miss Corey.
You know I never hired a lawyer in my life, Hartland.
It was very well phrased, my compliments. Mr. Paris, if Mr. Putnam is in the court, will you bring him in?
Very good, sir.
You have no legal training, Mr. Corey.
I have the best, sir. I am 23 times in court in my life and always plaintiff.
Oh, then you are much put upon.
I am never put upon. I know my rights, sir, and I will have them. You know, your father tried a case of mine, might be 35 years ago, I think.
He did.
He never spoke to you of it.
No, I cannot recall it.
That's strange. He gave me £9 damages. He were a fair judge, your father. You see, I had a white mare that time, and this fellow come to borrow the mare. Mr. Putnam, sir, I dare you.
Mr. Putnam, I have here an accusation by Mr. Corey against you. He states that you coldly prompted your daughter Ruth to cry witchery upon George Jacobs, that is now in jail.
It is a lie.
Mr. Putnam states your charge is a lie. What say you to that?
Fart on Thomas Putnam, that is what I say to that.
Proof do you submit for your charge?
My proof is there on the deposition. If Jacobs hangs for a witch, he forfeit up his property. That's law. And there is none but Putnam with the coin to buy so great a piece. This man is killing his neighbors for their land. I have it from an honest man who heard Putnam say it. The day his daughter cried out on Jacobs, he said she's giving him a fair gift of land.
And the name of this man?
1196.
The man that gave you this information.
I cannot give you his name.
And why not?
You know well why not. He'll lay in jail if I give you his name.
This is contempt of the court, Mr.
Only
Danforth.
tell us the name.
No, I will not give you no name. I mentioned my wife's name once, and I'll burn in hell long enough for that. I stand mute.
In that case, I have no choice but to arrest you for contempt of this court. You know that.
This is a hearing. You cannot clap me for contempt of a hearing.
Oh, it is a proper lawyer. Do you wish me to declare the court in full session here, or will you give me a good reply?
I cannot. I cannot give you no names. I cannot.
You are a foolish old man. Mr. Chief, I begin the record. The court is now in session. I ask...
Your Honor, he has the story in confidence, sir, and he
The
can...
devil lives on such confidences. Without confidences, there could be no conspiracy, Your Honor.
I think it must be brutal,
Old
sir.
man, if your informant tells the truth, let him come here openly like a decent man. But if he hide in anonymity, I must know why. Now, sir, the government and Central Church demand of you the name of him who reported Mr. Thomas Putnam.
Excellency,
Mr. Hale.
We cannot think it more. There is a prodigious fear of this court in the
Then
country.
there is a prodigious guilt in the country. Are you afraid to be questioned here?
I may only fear the Lord, sir. But there is fear in the country nevertheless.
Actually, not with the fear in the country. There is fear in the country because there is a moving plot to topple Christ in the country.
But it does not follow that everyone accused is part of it.
No uncorrupted man may fear this court, Mr. Hale. Giles Corey, you are under arrest in this court. Now sit you down and take counsel with yourself, or you will be set in the jail until you decide to answer all questions.
1197.
throat, Putnam, I'll
Peace, Giles, peace! We'll prove ourselves, now we will.
say nothing more, John. Governor Danforth means to hang us all.
This is a court of law, mister. I'll have no effrontery here.
Forgive him, sir, forgive him for his old age. Peace, Giles. We'll prove it all now. You cannot weep, Mary. Remember the angel when he said to the boy, hold to it now, there is your rock. This is Mary Warren's deposition. And I would ask you to remember, sir, while you read it, that until 2 weeks ago, she were no different than the other children are today. You saw her scream. She howled. She swore familiar spirits choked her. She even testified that Satan, in the form of women now in jail, tried to win her soul away. And then when she refused, she swears now that she never saw Satan nor any spirit, vague or clear, that Satan may have sent to hurt her. And she